You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I know you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, considering getting on the mats, or maybe a colleague keeps encouraging you to join. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want to expand your family, start training jiu-jitsu, or when you want to be the cool auntie, start training jiu-jitsu, I'd like to welcome Hayley Curtis to my podcast. Hi Hayley, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. I'm very good.
Oh, thank you for joining me, and congratulations on your recent brown belt promotion at Summit Grappling Award Ceremony. Talk to us about that.
So every year we do kind of like a grading day. We obviously do our grades throughout the year, but it's just nice to bring everyone together, especially in the winter when it's a bit dark. Bring everyone together and sort of do our grading. So we had 7 new blue belts, 2 new purple belts, and myself got my brown belt yesterday. So it was really fun. Then we had our awards kind of dinner and a little awards ceremony in the evening.
Oh, amazing. I do love how kind of close-knit and kind of community and family focused Summit Grappling is. Having visited last year during May half term, it was just such a lovely experience to be welcomed and, you know, acknowledged and just supported generally by everyone at Summit Grappling. It's such a joy.
Yeah, I think that kind of community spirit is absolutely, it's what makes us special, really, down at Summit Grappling Academy. We have generations of the same family training together, and that's really what I was saying about the cool auntie vibe. Is like, you go down there, you absolutely have an absolute blast with the people down there. They do feel like your own family.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to put with them so long that become annoying. You can just go home to my own house at the end of the day.
I do love that. Obviously, you coach all ages, all kind of abilities, right from the beginners up to kind of the very competitive competition classes. But a lot of clubs have started or maybe partway through their beginners course that starts at the beginning of January, which is a great time to encourage new people to start training, especially if they've had no experience of training jiu-jitsu prior to this point. Talk to us about the types of people that kind of come through your beginners class over in the Isle of Man.
We've had everybody, and that's, I think, is what the beauty of jiu-jitsu is for me, is that once you step on the mat, you're all the same. It doesn't matter who you are. So we have all ages. So we had, our last beginners course, we had people who are approaching 50, and you've got somebody who's 18, and they're just, everybody gets on like they're exactly the same on the mat. We have people who have never done sport before, or want to change their life and get a bit healthier, try something new, and it's really like what's been really nice to see is that they go through the course and they become firm friends, and then while the course is going on, because we have it on at the same time as our other classes, the ones they would go into once they graduate the course, they then know the people already because they're in the gym at the same time, and we kind of integrate them as they're coming through, so that it gets rid of that nerves and you're not walking into the unknown. So they get to share it, and they know everybody when they move into the mainstream classes then.
That sounds a really great idea, having all of the classes on at the same time. And I know you're very blessed by having 2 floors in your academy. Talk to us about the setup and why it works so well to have, the privilege of having so much space to train.
Yeah. I mean, it's been the product of a lot of hard work from the founder of the gym, Conrad. He started with 2 people in his garage, and went through a series of sublets before. Now we've got this absolutely incredible facility which he designed. So our competition team is kind of beginning to come into its own, really, when we got that facility. So it's built, it has 2 mats, so we can run 2 classes at once, and it has like the gym. It's got a fully functional gym for our S&C. It really is designed around sort of what we need. So it was completely taken from being a warehouse and sort of built into what we wanted.
Yeah. I really like hearing stories of grassroots clubs right at the very beginning. Starting in a garage or a kind of home space, and then before you know it, yes, a number of years later, and a lot of hard work, a lot of investment, and a lot of networking and kind of building a community, you have something so incredible. But I just want to encourage people that feel like starting a jiu-jitsu club is their thing. Um, you should go and do it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure whether I'm saying
yeah,
anything out of turn, but if you've got that space,
yeah,
there can never be too much jiu-jitsu. Certainly, from all of us that are in the community training Brazilian jiu-jitsu every week, I'm not going to commit to day in, day out. I'm not there yet. Don't quite have that time on my hands. I've kind of upgraded from being an auntie to being a full-time mum as well.
yes,
So,
yeah,
there's always time, when they grow up. I'm looking to be full-time, uh,
yeah.
even if I'm going to be in my 60s. Anyway, let's not
Well,
talk
it's
about
another
that.
beauty of jiu-jitsu, though, isn't it? It's another beauty of jiu-jitsu. So you can be in your 60s and do whatever you want in the sport. It literally has a place for everybody.
Yeah.
That's what's so special about it.
Yes. So at the beginning of the episode, I gently mentioned about being encouraged by a work colleague, but it was a bit more than that, wasn't it, Hayley?
Yeah. So Conrad is very has his visions, and he's worked really hard to get this jiu-jitsu club, and he has bullied a number of work colleagues and friends into joining. I think it took a good 2 years of constant like, please come try jiu-jitsu, please come try I was so resistant to it. I just didn't want to do it at all because
Yeah.
just I'm funny about touching people and like being in close contact with people that I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, until I tried it, and then I realized how addictive it is. And yeah, so I was at the time teaching pole dancing. So I made an agreement with Conrad that I would try a jiu-jitsu class, one jiu-jitsu class,
Yeah.
and that in return he would come to one of my pole dancing classes.
And has he come to one of your pole dancing classes yet, Hayley?
No, he's terrified. He's so scared. He can't. No, no. I don't.
So,
It's no.
so this
Definitely.
has been how many years are we kind of,
This has
talking
been like
about?
7 years. It's been 7 years. Yeah, I
Okay.
know. And there is no sign. Yeah. I have more than kept up my end of the deal, I think.
I think you have. So just so that everybody knows, this is Conrad Roberts, who is founder of Summit Grappling, and also founder or maybe co-founder of JECERIS Invitational.
Yeah.
I don't mean to segue, but thank you for also inviting me to support
Yeah.
the JECERIS
Yeah.
Invitational
Yeah.
podcast,
It was great to have you on the team.
because it was, I just love the energy around what you're trying to do. It's
Yeah.
all or nothing. And
Yes.
actually that vibe of going all in,
Yeah.
um, is just feels exciting, and
Yeah.
it kind of engaging for people to want to be involved with it,
Yeah.
because it has that energy and momentum that doesn't feel like normal life. And
No.
sometimes we need to step out and do something that might be a bit scary, that might be a bit
Yeah.
out of our comfort zone, and
Yeah.
just see what happens.
Yeah.
But JECERIS Invitational was incredible.
Yes, it was. It was. I just still don't think I've recovered, to be honest. It was a very, very busy period, but it was something special to see all those names on our island and have like with the feedback we've had is absolutely incredible from the athletes. It was really, really good, so good. So looking forward to the next one.
I think all of us are. I was very pleased to be watching the pay-per-view. I wasn't able to make it to the Isle of Man this time, but hopefully next time.
Yeah,
What was your involvement, Hayley, with the JECERIS Invitational? Because you coach at Summit Grappling, but
yeah.
you're very pivotal in all of the jiu-jitsu within the Isle of Man generally.
Um, I I just I was event director for the not event director, event manager for the invitational. I think generally, Conrad comes up with the ideas, and then he just comes to us and says, "We're going to do this," and that's kind of it. And we just go off and do it. But I think we very much like the energy that you saw in that is the energy that we have in the gym. In that, we work so solidly as a team that there's literally nothing we won't take on.
Yeah.
And we you'll see it in all of our competition teams, and especially in our junior squad where we get the parents involved and everything as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was absolutely amazing. So it was so busy and such a challenge, but at the end of it, we were like, you know what, we're an absolutely fabulous team, and there's nothing that we can't do. And I think
Yeah.
there's so much value in that.
And having a community and gym, again, trying to inspire other gyms, not just jiu-jitsu practitioners
Yeah,
to start their own club, but maybe encouraging jiu-jitsu clubs and communities to start their own invitational.
yeah.
Again, there's never too many. We want these
No,
opportunities for everybody.
absolutely. It's like the more people that have access to the sport, the better, and the more people can come together. And
Yeah.
it's nice if you've got clubs nearby, then work with them, not against them, and that's
Yeah.
but to benefit, because it's not all about you. We're doing it for. We don't do it for ourselves. We do
Yeah.
running the club and stuff. We do it for the whole community, and it is for ourselves as well, because we get the benefit.
Absolutely. I remember seeing you on ENYO 6 back in February 2024,
Yeah,
and just starting to connect a little bit into my jiu-jitsu journey. And as a very young white belt, I didn't know who anybody was. And part of that, going to an invitational like ENYO, which is women's only submission only grappling for women, um, was the best place I felt to get to know other women in the community, because when you're in your own club, sometimes you're only surrounded by probably majority of guys, and they follow UFC and lots of other things. But to get involved with ENYO just
yeah,
gives a different perspective for us women that are in the sport, have just started in the sport, to see the progress of exceptional athletes like yourself and others, on a stage that has the same vibe, which is just kind of bringing
yeah,
all of that energy,
yeah.
and I guess maybe connection with JECERIS Invitational as well.
Yes,
It's just
yeah,
all of that showcase really
yeah.
highlighting, but also making it an audience,
Yeah,
friendly
yeah,
event for those that
yeah,
have
very much so.
never been
Yeah.
or haven't seen. What how was that ENYO 6 experience for you back
It was
in the
it was
day?
like incredible, I think, because just like my first kind of experience. I got the email from Angelica, invite me on, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that they've got in touch. Like, how do they even know who I am? How do they even know I exist? And it's like, and you just have this absolute buzz just to be part of it, because it
Mm,
is something special. And then just the whole event, the way it was run, it was so well done. And kind of similar to what we were saying about jiu-jitsu clubs, we've obviously then run our own invitation, but we've very much been in touch with Joe the whole time, who Joe Wellstead runs ENYO, to say that we invited her over. Obviously, as you know, she's had to have knee surgery, so she wasn't able to come, and so there's very much wanted to make that collaborative, like, we're doing these events are for the good of the sport as well.
yeah,
And just so a lot of the networking, so like networking for us as being on an island is also very important. So a lot of the time we go to competitions, like networking is a big part of that,
yeah,
because it benefits everybody. Because we'll always, you'll find matches, you'll know where to go. You can just, places to train if you're, on holiday, stuff like that.
yeah.
So it's really, really good.
So ENYO 6, you
Yeah.
weren't long a purple belt. You were
No.
against Indy Briar.
Yeah.
How were you feeling about that whole experience, apart from the excitement of being invited and you
Yeah.
know people knowing who you are?
No. I was, I'd had my purple belt 3 days when I got asked to go on it, and I think it was about 6 weeks later. Um, And it was one of those ones where you go like, do you know what? It's tough. Got to learn a new rule set. So I hadn't really done anything concrete in the black belt rules before. New rule set, like, oh, Indy's so experienced and incredible. She's so strong and fierce. So I knew she was going to sort of bring some fire to it. But I think I absolutely loved it. Everything to do with the prep. I just enjoyed every minute of it. And you think as long as you bring your best, then the result doesn't matter, is it? It's just enjoying the process. And that's very much what I've done, which is, so I'm excited for the next one.
This episode is sponsored by Summit Grappling Academy. SGA deliver over 35 classes a week for kids, teens and adults. Their experienced coaches are committed to delivering safe and quality instruction to help all students increase their ability. Coach Conrad is the founder, head coach and black belt at Summit Grappling Academy. He is supported by an accomplished team whose focus is supporting the individual journey of each student. They pride themselves on being a family-friendly academy, getting healthy, having fun and learning new skills. When you want to find out more and start your free trial, head over to summitgrapplingacademy.com and go and follow at Summit Grappling Academy over on Instagram. This is a Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. Keep checking out the clips that drop as soon as I've recorded an episode, usually way before the official episode gets released, over on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Today, I'm having a conversation with Hayley Curtis. So, Hayley, let's talk about your coaching experience, because whilst you train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, you're very much part of the competition team as a participant and a competitor, but you also coach lots of classes. So talk to us about that.
I've been coaching sport for 25 years, several sports. So it's always something that I've loved to do. And I think it comes naturally as an interest to me. So I coach everybody from sort of beginner through to everybody. But competition training is something that I really love to help people with, like their competition prep, because it's where you get down to the details and it's so individual. Anything that makes me think, I really like. So I love finding problems that people have and working it out. And particularly so when I've had a couple of serious injuries in the last year or so. And while I've been off the mat myself, being able to coach other people, putting all that effort that I put into myself as a competitor into other people, really kind of saved my bacon, to be honest. Kind of kept me sane and focused. And I think sort of we all kind of found that I would just sort of harassed everybody until they won, basically, with no pressure to win. It just happened because we put so much into it. It was really enjoyable. But yeah, absolutely, it's part. I absolutely adore coaching, and I really like it.
So you mentioned you've been coaching sport for 25 years. Yeah. Take us back to the beginning of coaching sport, and which sports?
I first qualified to coach gymnastics when I was 16. I've been doing gymnastics myself since I was 7. Wow. Started coaching when I was 16, coached that all the way through till I was in my mid-20s when I changed jobs and was on shift work. And then I've taught pole dancing as well, which is, has some similarities. And then as I've kind of crossed over jiu-jitsu, I kind of resisted it a bit more because I'd had previously the situation where balancing training and coaching, where coaching takes over to the point you can't train anymore. So I kind of resisted it with jiu-jitsu. It was always going to happen because it's kind of naturally where I go to because I just enjoy it so much. Well, luckily now I'm in there so much I can do both. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, do you feel like your gymnastics game comes into play when you're competing in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, massively. And you know what? it comes into the coaching as well. So as a competitor, my like proprioception, knowing where my body is and knowing like how to use those little bits in like isolating parts of your body to use one bit to do one thing and one to do another, I
Yeah.
think that's definitely come from my background. And then just like coaching wise, like I've got a real interest in like the biomechanics. So when I explain things to people,
Yeah.
I think I'm quite good at working at saying why it has happened and how to make it, explaining concepts about how bodies work, like move and, center of mass and bases and all that. I have to apologize at the start of when I start these monologues. I'm sorry, we're going to have a science lesson now, and everyone sort of settles down.
I love it. I love it.
Forever.
But I do want to recap the word that is the isolation and using two different body
Yeah.
parts or whatever in different kind of sequence. I'm a dancer, and dancing bachata, for example, is very much about isolating and being able to kind of move different bits in different
Yeah.
ways. And it just looks and feels incredible. And anyone that
Yeah.
doesn't dance or do gymnastics or have that isolation kind of move. If you grew up in the 80s and you did any of those robotic moves or the moonwalk, the Michael Jackson moonwalk, you will know what isolation and kind of movement is. But recap the word for me, Hayley.
So I mean, I have a number of analogies for things within it, but it's it's been able to kind of take one body part, use that to put pressure, block something, and then you're thinking about using another body part. Or, when you're setting up a submission, and I'm like, you just need to move this tiny little muscle in your back that you didn't know existed, just that one, nothing around it. And trying to get that across, which makes it things to reduce the effort that you're putting into like finish your subs and things like that from using
Yeah,
tiny little things, and just getting that helping people try to sort of get the feeling, because a lot of it is getting the feeling. Once you feel like, if
yeah,
I'll say sort of, keep your shoulders, if you get your shoulders and your hips level to the floor, you can't get reversed, things like that. And then
yeah,
to just, if one gets dipped, then you can dip the opposite one, and that counterbalance, all that kind of thing. I've
yeah.
got some like ridiculous analogies that I use, but they really stick with people, so about stuff like that.
That's good. So, what's the word for the isolation? You mentioned a word. Was it beginning with P?
Oh,
What
proprioception.
proprioception?
Reconstruction. Yeah, that is knowing where parts of your body are at any one time. So, if you're upside down, being able to tell that you're upside down, which direction you're facing, where your leg is, things like
Yeah,
that. It's just having that kind of understanding of
awareness.
you compared to your surroundings, yeah, and your opponent as well, of course.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm only laughing and smiling because I play half guard. I'm known to play half guard a little bit, but it's working out whose leg is whose
Yeah.
during lockdown or various other things. Like, am I grabbing my leg, my gi pants, or somebody else's gi pants?
Sometimes it's like I'm upside down, so is right left or is left right? I don't which leg is which. I don't know.
Um, can you offer some guidance for any of us wanting to learn a bit more about this? One kind of technique that we can take away, maybe.
Ooh, ooh. I think any kind of exercises that are balance related are really good. I think just for anything where you're moving around almost on the spot. I think I've not really thought about it exercise wise. But so we
Maybe
do
it's just
lots of games. So like I've just run a game last week where it was you start in open guard. Your partner has to touch the patch on your back. So then you're getting people who are like, then people start to invert and they start to realize where they are because they're trying to keep their back patch away from their partner while staying in one spot and things like that. So as their partner's moving around, they're then using their hips to follow because they can't use their back because that has to be protected. So I do a lot of like little games like that. Some people would call it the ecological approach. I
yeah,
think it's just so kind of active drills and stuff, but I really like that
yeah.
kind of stuff.
No, that's good to be able to focus on one kind of form of defense or whatever it happens to be. Do you have, only because I've spoken recently with Mike Clark, who has also just recently been promoted to brown belt. So congratulations to you both. You have a of brown belts at the moment. But about being proactive, is there any advice you can give us for being more proactive? Certainly, if we're starting out competing or we're a more seasoned competitor, or we've done a few competitions and we may not have got
Yeah,
gold yet. Okay, I'm
yeah.
being honest, Hayley. Give me some proactive
I
tips.
think so. And this is the really hard bit is where you put yourself repeatedly in like your worst case scenario. Um, and you just have to prepare to be rubbish at it until it gets better. It's something that I've always known I needed to do. And getting injured last year made me do it. So I had quite a bad ankle injury, and it made me have to sit down. I hate playing God. I hate it, but I can do it. But I
Yeah,
can do it a lot better now than I could at the start of the year because I've been so injured. I couldn't do any stand up, so I was having to start on the bottom all of the time. And then when it came to do, it was the London Open at the start of 25. That was my first return to competition, and
wow.
I was like, oh my god, my bottom guard's got so much better, and I got sweeps from positions I wouldn't have done before, and like just it's that having to forcing yourself to just be in that miserable spot in training for a while, just to fill
Yeah,
in, just to round out your game. I think that's massive.
yeah. I think that's very wise advice. I'm also going to, play more bottom guard because, that's the thing. It's pulling those sweeps and actually achieving them, and just all of those things. I'm going to take that one away, Hayley. But you mentioned about competing and heading back into competition at the London Open at the beginning of 2025. Talk to us about your other competitions throughout 2025.
Well, they've been kind of in and out of injury. So I got injured 2 days before Euros, Nogi Euros 24. Um, so 20 when it London 25, February 25 was my first. I'd been training I think 2 weeks, and I thought, I'll give a competition. I had to hide my Instagram story from my physio so that she wouldn't see that I was doing it, because I wasn't supposed to be even running or jumping at the time. But I needed it for my head, and that went really well. I won a match there. That was fine. And then I got injured again with my elbow this time. That put me out until Rome, and
Yeah,
Rome was in May. There's the Rome Open, and so I went there, not being able to straighten my elbow. I had it strapped up under my gi, and I don't know. It was a very surreal experience because I just went out there and performed probably better than I performed anywhere else.
wow.
And it was really like, I think I'd done a lot of coaching while I'd been off the mat. So I had this real big realization that I'd learned a lot conceptually
Yeah,
while I was off just from coaching other people. And I'd won 3 out of 4 matches. And then in the last one, you can see the finish line. You're like, yeah, just
yeah,
one more, one more. And the girl I was against jumped guard quite badly. And as we know, a dodgy guard jump can be devastating. And
yeah.
my MCL was torn probably like a minute into the match. And I was
Wow.
so furious at the fact that, guard jumping, it can be quite controversial. It's safe if you do it right, but it goes wrong so much.
Yeah,
Um, and I was just like, no, you're not doing this to me now. So I ended up. I thought if I can stand up, I'll carry on, and I did. And I don't know how I did it because I got up. I managed to get takedown points, and then kind of I won with 2 points up. And as soon as I got off the mat, I couldn't walk for 3 months.
wow.
And I'm like, still now, when I look back at it, I'm like, I do not. It's amazing, like just how powerful rage and adrenaline can be, because I couldn't do a thing with it for months. So that put
Yeah,
me out for 5 6 months. Yeah, and then my return was for Euros, which I got double gold in. So I came back round from that.
amazing,
I did pretty well.
amazing.
Yeah.
So you talk about needing competition jiu-jitsu for your well-being. Talk to us around some of those aspects of your life.
Yeah, so I've physical movement is massive for me. I need it. I've got ADHD, for which I medicated for obviously the concentration and stuff like that, and which helps a lot, but nothing ever really helps like exercise does. And jiu-jitsu is great because as well as the physical stimulation of like moving around, and it's so intense, as you know, the mental stimulation as well, from thinking your way out of problems and from for staying calm and things like that. And if I can't do something, if I can't be active, I start to really like go downhill very quickly in terms of like how I feel, and like, you know, starting to feel negatively, and I get myself into a bit of a hole, and all I need to do is go training, and it fixes everything. And it's a lot of it's that physical, but also the mental mind outlet that you get from it. You tune out. If someone's trying to like choke you unconscious or break your arm, you can't think about what things have gone wrong that day. So it's almost like a little rest. It's like a rest for your brain, but also, you know, a workout.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I know some of us have struggles with mental health in terms of, you know, thinking ourselves to a very negative place. But
Yeah.
actually, we know that training helps us. And just having that outlet helps so many of us
Yeah. Yeah.
continue to be around.
Yeah, massively. And I think it's something that I look out for as well. And being neurodiverse as well is something. So I will always I always spot the kids as well that have the similar struggles. So
Yeah,
I'm kind of always advocating for them as well, with that kind of stuff. So we're kind of
good.
looking after the next generation as well.
Yeah, it's very important for the next generation. But I
Yeah.
just want to touch on the fact that some of us have times when we just don't want to train. Does that ever happen for you, Hayley?
Yes. Yes, it does. Not very often, I have to say. Well, it's that
Good.
bit where you've got to get up and put your shoes on and leave the house, and it's cold, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think, and sometimes you just don't feel like it, and but at the end of the session, you never regret it. And you know, I think jiu-jitsu, you have those days, you know, that's what we say. And sometimes you're the hammer, and sometimes you're the nail. And I think it's a sport that's quite open to that anyway.
yeah,
I mean, you know, if you didn't accept that you can't win every round, I mean, we don't train to win rounds. So I think it allows you to have a bad training day and still take something from it,
yeah.
uh, and that's the main thing.
No,
Even just
that's
saying hello to your friends on the mat, you know, that's so
yeah.
valuable.
Yeah, it often helps for me, at least, to kind of message people and go, "Are you going to be there? I'm going to be there," and then you're set on the track of actually
Yes,
being at class or being at
yeah.
open mat, and
You
there's
said
that
you're going to be
encourage.
there, and
Exactly.
you know that someone else is going to be there, and you're like, oh, I like that person, they're going to be there. And
Yeah,
we have a great team of women. We had Vanessa English was over at the weekend for our awards, and we did a ladies seminar, and we had I think we had 19 on the mat, women, which is
it's
absolutely
really
incredible. And such a good, like, you know, we just keep each other going. We've got our little group chat. It's like, who's coming down tonight all the time, and it just gets everybody to class, even in the cold winter.
yeah. Agreed, agreed. Find some jiu-jitsu buddies and
Yeah,
say you're going to be there and just go,
yeah,
because there's nothing worse than letting down a friend. And I know none of us really want to do that, so we just keep showing up.
yeah,
Okay, now there's a thing on Instagram, Hayley,
yeah,
with you and these 19 women
yeah,
dancing and incredible photos.
yeah.
Talk, talk to me about this.
This has clearly come from my like gymnastics kind of background with like making things look nice, and I think it's my kind of movement is my creative outlet, which is quite nice, as you'll appreciate coming from dancing. People will say, oh, when you do jiu-jitsu it looks like you're dancing. I'm like, yes. So right from the off, in the women's classes, I've always choreographed a full photo, and I draw them out in advance. So I draw little stick men
Wow.
or little stick women,
Yeah.
in what, because I imagine it in my head, and then I sit with my piece of paper and I'm like, you over there, you're doing this with your arm, and people kind of, honestly, the girls are so good to just go with it and let me just do my thing. Like, even
Yeah.
though like sometimes they'll look at you like you're crazy, but they're so good, and we get these absolutely amazing photos, and we've got loads of them. And like the more people in it is the more challenge. And then we put this video out, and the guy that took the photo made it. It's just AI, but so many people have just like think we're that good at dancing. I mean, in reality, there's no way we're going to be in time with that. So I've been rumbled, but I am. If anybody wants me to come to any of their seminars or their gyms and choreograph their group photo, team photo, dance routine, I'm there for it. I'm there. I'll do it all.
Amazing. I do now remember having a setup and someone making some comment about you orchestrating the lineup for the photo when I came over in May 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are flashbacks now. You
Yeah.
were in control. You knew what you were
Sometimes I'm
doing.
allowed and sometimes I'm not, because sometimes it gets a bit out of control. I'm just like, no, we haven't got time for that today. You know, people, I'll be like, you do a handstand over there. And, you know, who could do the splits? No,
There's always time. There's always
yeah.
time. And you and Vanessa are great friends.
Yeah.
I see you as the kind of twins, one set of twins of jiu-jitsu.
I'm not sure if she would be offended or not by that or pleased, but I actually think she'd be happy with that. But yeah, we've had a laugh this weekend. Stay tuned for our post photo from this weekend.
Amazing.
That we got
So
yesterday.
you get up to all sorts of antics. I've seen you
Yeah.
choreographing and kind of not backflips, but I'm sure I've seen you doing
Yeah.
stuff on the mat.
Yeah, we
together.
do. It's finding the time now, I think, sometimes, though. Yeah, we go ahead of time. We have Pinterest boards. Me and Vanessa were like, what are we going to do next? And it's like let's do this. You know, so there's always something acrobatic or something to try. So it's good fun. You got
I
to have
love
fun.
this.
Like, you know, like I was saying, you know, one of the girls said that what she loves about, you know, our club is that it's the sport is not, it's a sport, but it doesn't revolve around the sport. There is so much more to going to jiu-jitsu than just what you do on the mat. It's the people that you're with, the interactions. And yeah, I'm about to post like we did an achievement cake on Friday where everyone put in what their favorite achievements of last year, and we all celebrate each other, and just little wholesome things like that just make it so special.
Amazing. I love hearing all this, and I didn't know you were such a planner, Hayley. I'm
I
going to
know.
be calling on you.
Don't get me wrong, it's not with important things. I'm not a planner with important things, but if you need a dance routine, I'm your girl.
Amazing, amazing. Hayley, this has been amazing to chat. I can't wait to come back over to the Isle of Man
Yeah,
and
anytime.
just
Anybody is
see
welcome anytime.
and see what you're up to
Yeah.
and experience that incredible family community vibe that you have at Summit. How can people follow your journey for the rest of 2026 and beyond? Now you are a new brown belt.
Yes. So my Instagram is what is my Instagram? Jiu-Jitsu Hales. So jiu-jitsu_Hales is my Instagram, or at Summit Grappling Academy, one word. That's obviously the gym. I'm on there all the time as well. That's I am on Facebook, to really use it, and I will just pop up everywhere. That's basically it. I'm just going to make myself a nuisance, so you won't be able to not follow what I'm doing. Because I'm just going
Good.
to be everywhere.
I love that. And I'm hoping to see many more gold medals for your brown belt
Me
career
too.
and beyond. Hayley, it's been such a pleasure. Good luck to you and the
Thank
team
you.
for 2026. And I'm really looking forward to the next JECERIS Invitational, whenever that may
Yeah.
be.
Hopefully in the summer. Yeah, it'll be a longer event, so we've got more to plan for that, and we'll keep you in the loop. Yes,
Amazing. We'll be looking for some intro choreography and some
definitely.
kind of end of show choreography. I mean,
Oh
we'll
yeah,
leave it. We'll put that out there
start
now,
drawing
Hayley.
it now.
I love it. I love it. You are amazing.
I
We will
think I'm
speak.
slightly insane sometimes.
Love it. Love it. We will speak again soon.
Yes, it'd be lovely to catch up with you.
If you've got this far, thank you so much for listening. Let me know who you'd like to see next on the show. And I'm always looking for stories, connections, and growth in the sport of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu from around the world. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for telling your friends about this show and subscribing on whichever platform you are listening or watching on. And as soon as the episode ends, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast.